Senator Sanders joins me tonight here on the Ed Show. Senator, appreciate your time. Police are treating residents like Ferguson like they're the enemy. That's the comments that's coming back to us here. How can this dynamic be changed when there is such a show of brute force and, of course, the State National Guard has been called out, another show of force? What about all this, Senator?
Ed, if there is any silver lining in the tragedy of Ferguson is that I hope we learn some very important lessons. When I was mayor of Burlington, Vermont, and all over this country, what mayors are trying to do is develop community-based policing, where police officers are seen as part of the neighborhood. They know people in the neighborhood. They are trusted by people in the neighborhood. When you see the kind of force that's being used in Ferguson, it really does make it appear that the police department there is an occupying army in a hostile territory. And that is absolutely not what we want to see in the United States. So I think we've got to rethink a lot of this heavy equipment that police departments around the country are utilizing. Well, second point, Ed.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, your second point is, sir?
The second point is I hope that what Ferguson teaches us is that not only the violence being perpetrated against young black men, but also the economic crisis facing black youth in this country. Ed, youth unemployment in America is tragically high. It is 20%. African-American youth unemployment is 35%. Yeah. In St. Louis area, it is significantly higher than that. And if we are going to address the issue of crime in low-income areas and in African-American areas, it might be a good idea that instead of putting heavy equipment into police departments in those areas, we start creating jobs for the kids there who desperately need them.
Senator, what about the equipment? The president said that this may be addressed by Congress on a bipartisan level. But the Department of Homeland Security recently came out with a report saying that the biggest threat to our security is here within our own borders. There's a lot of anti-government groups that have propped up in this country, hate groups that have propped up in this country, and law enforcement in respects feels pretty much outgunned, and they want to be prepared. Is it the equipment or is it the use of the equipment that's the issue, in your opinion?
I think it's the latter. And look, clearly, police departments all over this country have very difficult times dealing with drug pushers and people who are very well armed. And we want to make sure that our police department has the effective tools and equipment to combat those threats. But on the other hand, I do not think you need tanks and heavy military-looking equipment in low-income communities in America. I think that essentially makes a difficult situation, a dangerous situation, much more provocative and much more difficult. Again, police departments should not be perceived as occupying armies. So I think this is an issue, along with the economic issue of having to create jobs for our young people, that Congress should be addressing when we return.
Does a curfew block the citizens' right to peaceful protest? What do you think?
Well, of course it does. In some circumstances, it may be a valid response. I don't know enough to tell you about the circumstance in Ferguson.
You would be in favor of reducing the amount of equipment and the use of this military equipment that we have seen?
I think I would be absolutely in favor of taking a hard look at that program. I don't know that you can make 100% generalization, but I do not want to see communities and small towns and small cities all over America have heavy equipment, which makes people in those communities just feel like they are an enemy. That I certainly think is not appropriate.
Senator Bernie Sanders, good to have you with us tonight, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ed Show. Ferguson.